Hi everybody, CohhCarnage here with another thoughts video, this time a final thoughts video on Dragon's Dogma 2. I already made another thoughts video, an early thoughts video, and I do want to stress that pretty much everything I said in that video applies. I don't think that anything really changed the way I feel about it. I will say that some of it is a little bit, this will be a little bit more full featured, but yeah, everything applies there. So make sure to check that video out too if you want a little bit more than what's in here. So that being said, Dragon's Dogma 2 is the sequel to Dragon's Dogma 1. And frankly, it is an absolutely phenomenal open world style RPG. In fact, the last time I played an open world style RPG like this that I had this much fun in was a game called Outward. And not only did I love that, but I loved all my time in here. I just rolled credits on the game after 70 hours. I did every quest I possibly could, explored, I'd say 95% plus of the map, did a lot of optional fights. And I gotta say, man, there's not a lot of games that I can play for that period of time and get to the ending and look at that last button press to start the ending sequence. And after 70 hours, just be sad that there's not more. That's how I felt with Dragon's Dogma 2. I got to the end of this game and I just want more. Like, it's that good. The item progression is meaningful and feels good. Leveling up all the different vocations like I did during the game was just added to it and kept it fresh. The world is fun to explore and rewards you very well for doing so. The music was great. The graphics, especially compared to DD1, were so much better. The pawn AI is really fantastic. Pawns would pretty much always do what I wanted them to. I very infrequently would get frustrated with them, which I did all the time in Dragon's Dogma 1. But in DD2, it felt so improved. There is some weirdness with pawns, especially around ledges and stuff. Like there are some technical things, but again, night and day compared to the first game, in terms of how those are present and how they affect you. The main story and quests in this game are not the best. They're generally not super interesting, though some are. And you can kind of tell, especially with the main story, that it's meant more to move you through the world. That being said, the rest of the game for me was so enjoyable and so much fun that I still had a great time doing the quests and main quest, even though I wasn't fully invested in like the NPCs and what was going on. Just the combat, the loot, the advancement, all of that stuff was well enough for me to just make my own story and have a great time and just enjoy everything I was doing in there. So yeah, the game overall is awesome. When I finished this game, I of course had a lot of very glowing things to say about it. So that elicited the question, is this game a game of the year for you? And I do want to stress in a situation like this that I can get really excited about these games. I can love these games. I can say everything I just said about this game, but I will also be the first to say that no, this is not a game of the year game. Not for me. Why? Specifically because some of the stuff I've talked about in this video, like for this to be the game of the year for me, you know, I would need pawns to not be running off ledges. Escort quest rewards are clearly not balanced. And most importantly, side questing and main questing in this game feel more like an afterthought. If they had everything in this game be how it was, and then still had awesome side quests and main questing, then we might be talking about like maybe some GOTY stuff. But the thing about this game is it does some things exceptionally well, like some of the best of this genre well, and other parts of the game just aren't. You can tell they're not the centerpiece. They're not the meat. The meat of this game is in the open world. The meat of this game is making your own story. And it's almost like at times when the game tries to tell you a story, it almost gets in the way a little bit, just because it's like, it's not really that engaging. And there's all this other stuff you probably want to go do. So it's a little bit of like, it's almost like it's fighting itself in some ways. But you know, now that I'm at the end of this video, I do just want to say, I knew I was going to like this game. I did not realize how much I was going to like this game. It really is something awesome. And there were multiple times in this game where my jaw dropped, be it from a combat thing or maybe like a reveal, if you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, final thing I want to say, by the way, because we get this question a lot and I wanted to let you guys know two things. First of all, I have a pawn in this game. Her name is Laina. There's a pawn code in my chat. You can type !pawn. She's a very well-made support pawn. If you want to heal her for your group, you can bring her into your group and feel free. So if you type !pawn in the Twitch chat, you'll get a little code you can pop in. And yeah, you can run around with her. It's pretty awesome. So that's pretty fun. And the second thing I want to say is, so many people have asked me, do I need to play DD1 and its expansion DDDA before I play DD2? And this is what I will say to that. Now that I've finished Dragon's Dogma 2, going back to Dragon's Dogma 1 or playing it before 2, DD1 is 90% great idea and then like 60% implementation. You can see all the good stuff in DD1, but sometimes due to the bugs and the mechanics and just the technical limitations, you can see it, but you can't get to it. It's a good game. Dragon's Dogma 1, and especially the expansion Dark Arisen, they're good games. But for me, having played them at the end of last year, they were honestly very frustrating at times. And like a lot of times, things that would work one time wouldn't another way. Pawn AI, sometimes pawns just wouldn't listen or not do what you want. It was definitely a little bit of a thing. So if Dragon's Dogma 1 was like 90% idea and 60% implementation, Dragon's Dogma 2 was like 95-80. Like they took all the good ideas of DD1, added more QOL and made them a little bit better, made them technically a lot more cohesive, and then actually developed all those mechanics to work. So that's kind of where we are with DD2. I would have a hard time going back and playing DD1 right now. It would be tough for me. And honestly, a big majority of DD2 feels like a reboot. Like the majority of DD2 feels like a rebooted Dragon's Dogma 1. So do you need to play DD1 and DA? The only reason I'd say yes is if you're the kind of gamer that wants to understand every single reference they see in the game. That being said, I don't feel that you need to play DD1 before 2. And if you're somebody who's really especially more focused on the gameplay and the combat, you might want to just start in DD2. So, I will say that the DD1 and especially the DLC do have some fun story stuff. If you don't feel like playing it, you might want to at least look up like a story. There's a lot of great story compilations that go over everything, because especially the expansion, there's some pretty cool stuff in there. But that being said, none of it super directly applies to 2. And even though it's cool lore and cool to know, I wouldn't say any of it was like mandatory for DD2. It's not like a Final Fantasy VII remake to Rebirth situation where you have to play remake before Rebirth. It's just not like that. It's just not like that. So anyway, that's about it. So Dragon's Dogma 2, amazing open world, awesome developed mechanics, very unique feel, just a joy to play. Negatives, still some technical issues, some performance issues. I do need to again mention, if you are somebody who cares about microtransactions in games, educate yourself on the DD2 situation. I'm not going to get into it here, but definitely do it if you are someone who cares about that stuff. Definitely, I need to mention that. And then finally, yeah, I'd say so. The downsides are probably that stuff. Then also enemy variety is a bit of an issue, and you know, other minor things, on top of that. But overall, I had a great time. Overall, 2 thumbs up, and yeah, loved it. Can't wait for the expansion. I'm so excited for the expansion, and hope to see you there for it. All right. Anyway, this turned out to be a lot longer than I thought. I am out of here for now. You can find me at twitch.tv/CohhCarnage every day at 8 a.m. Or if you'd like to watch a replay of the morning stream, you can many times find it at 6:30 p.m. on the Cohh channel if you want to watch it with the community. All right, friends, I will see you guys later. Thanks as always for watching. Catch you next Thoughts video.